This is the most important video I have ever made, and it's the one that's most likely to change your life. I know you watch my videos because you want to become financially independent. You want to, at some point, get to a place where you can fund your lifestyle from your assets and no longer have to work. But you're going about it the wrong way, and I have only made that problem worse. All I talk about on this channel is investing in stocks, bonds, and property. And you probably spend a fair amount of time thinking about these types of investments. But the irony is, if you want to achieve financial independence, these types of investments are not the quickest way to get there. There is something else you should be investing in that can achieve much higher, more reliable returns than investing in the stock market. Let's start with a question. What do you think is your most valuable asset? Your phone? Your car? Your house? Your pension? No, you're wrong. For the vast majority of you watching this video, your most valuable asset is you and your ability to turn your time and skills into income. Now, before you click off this video thinking, what is this nonsense? I am being deadly serious. I have made more money investing in my skills and education than I will ever make investing in the stock market. And whether you're in your 20s or in your 60s, I'm going to show you how investing in yourself, in your skills and health can achieve far higher returns than investing in the stock market. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is James. I am a financial planner, and this is a place where you can learn to make smarter financial decisions. 80,000 hours. 80,000 hours is how long the average person spends working in their lives. That's a long time. The average wage in the UK is £16 per hour. So if you earned that over your entire career, you'd be set to earn £1.28 million. That sounds like a lot, but it doesn't take much to put two and two together to realize that if you can increase your wage by just 10%, you'd be set to make 128k more over your career. The fastest way to reach financial independence is to get paid as much as you can for every hour that you work. Instead of focusing on how much money you can save on your current salary, you should be focusing on doing everything that you can to increase it. It's so simple that it sounds stupid. So how do we get paid more? Why do some people get paid more than others? Well, the main reason is that certain skills have a higher economic value than others. Take a bus driver and a pilot as an example. Both take people from A to B. But you can train to be a bus driver in a matter of hours, but it can take years and years and years to become a pilot. So it makes sense that their skills are in shorter supply and can demand a higher wage. A pilot is also in charge of a much more expensive bit of machinery, and people pay a lot more for a flight than they do a bus ticket. I'm not suggesting that all bus drivers should go out and train to become pilots, but they could perhaps invest in themselves and go on a course to learn how to drive more complex vehicles that have a higher economic value. At the same time, a pilot could spend those hours sat in the cockpit on long-haul flights to study for an executive MBA. Whatever your line of work, there are always ways you can invest in yourself to learn new skills and increase your value. And those investments are likely to return far more than investing in the stock market. As an example, imagine you're 30 years old and you're working as a graphic designer, getting paid 35k per year. And you know that if you carry on along this career path, your earnings are likely to grow up until a peak of about 55k. And with this, you'd be set to earn £1.5 million over the remainder of your career. Sounds pretty good. But there's this other area of design that you're quite interested in, user experience design. And you've noticed that this area pays about 20% more than what you're getting now. So if you were that designer and I gave you £3,000 to invest, what would you invest it in? Well, you could invest it in the stock market for an average annual return of 9%. And with any luck, by the time you turn 60, that could have turned into over £65,000. Sounds pretty good. Or you could invest that money in yourself. You could put yourself on a course to learn the skills that you need to land a job as a UX designer. And if you did land that job, you would be set to earn an additional £320,000 over your career. That is just insane. And it gets even more crazy when we're dealing with higher numbers. Instead, imagine that you're a software engineer earning 70 grand per year. Firstly, well done you. But you've also noticed that if you specialized into cybersecurity, it's likely that you could demand a 20% higher salary. And if you were able to get a new job in cybersecurity, you'd be set to earn an additional £700,000 over your career. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that I am massively oversimplifying this. Just because you take some course, it does not mean that you are guaranteed to get a job. You are still going to have to put yourself out there, to talk to other people, to get outside of your comfort zone and prepare to be rejected. It won't be easy, but if it was easy, then it probably wouldn't be worthwhile. To use an analogy from investing, the reason why stocks produce higher returns than bonds or cash is because investing in stocks is much more painful. It's not easy. If it was easy, then everyone would do it and it would dilute the returns on offer. Investing in yourself is not easy either, but that's why it's worth doing. And the potential returns from investing in yourself are so great that you can afford to fail multiple times and still be better off than investing in the stock market. But there are a few things you need to consider when making these types of investments. Firstly, if you're older, then clearly you have less time to recoup your investment. As an example, if our graphic designer had made the switch at 50 years old instead of 30, they would have been only 130k better off. But what if this skill set gives our career more longevity? Because it's keeping us relevant, or it leads to a job that's more sustainable because it's more interesting and less stressful. And if our 50-year-old graphics designer can extend their career by just 5 years, that turns into a £500,000 return. And finally, as with all investments, you need to do your research. Some skills will demand higher returns than others, and you need to make sure that you're investing in a skill set that will actually give you the return that you need. With a bus driver and a pilot, it's easy to see the different values that the economy places on skill sets of very different industries. But when you're already in the thick of it, working in a profession as a designer, an accountant, or an engineer, it can be much harder to see the potential investment opportunities in front of you. So, to get the answers you need to get out there and talk to people. Talk to people that have already done what you want to do. They can help you understand what their role is actually like and what you need to invest in to get there. If you can't find these people at the company you're already working at, then LinkedIn is the next best thing. Get yourself a LinkedIn premium trial that will give you 20 free in-mail messages that you can send to anyone, even if you're not connected with them. Then identify people that have been working in their careers for 5 to 10 years. People that have recently trodden the path that you want to go on, but they're not so senior that they get bugged for requests all the time. Reach out to them and you will be surprised how willing people are to help if you just ask. When I first started getting requests from people that were genuinely interested in what I do and wanted to know how they could follow in my footsteps, I was honored and more than happy to jump on a call to help. In fact, now I get so many messages from people that are interested in becoming a financial planner that I've decided to host a webinar discussing what it's like as a career and how you can get into it. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, there is a link down in the description where you can sign up. So once you've identified the set of skills you need and found a course that can give you them, don't pay for it yourself. No. First, ask if your company will pay for it. If these skills are going to make you a more valuable employee, there's probably a very high chance they'll be more than happy to pay for it. But even if it's not directly related to what you're already doing, they may still pay for it, because you need to remember that we are currently in the tightest job market for over 40 years, with unemployment at just 3.6%. Employers are desperate to attract and hold on to talent. Negotiating for a 5k pay rise is much, much harder than negotiating for your company to pay for a 5k course that will in turn lead to a much bigger pay rise. Most companies even have developmental budgets, especially for this type of thing. You never know unless you ask. And speaking of asking, in this tight job market, you need to make sure that you are being paid enough for the skills that you already have. A client of mine's son recently applied for his first job, and at the start of the process, he was told that the salary on offer was 21k. He went through round after round of interviews, and at the end, he was finally offered the job. However, when he looked at his offer, it was only for 18k, which he was still more than happy with because it was his first job. But his dad said, no, you go back in there and ask for 21k. But Dad, it's just 3k and I feel awkward asking. And his dad said, no, it's not 3k. Look at this. Let's assume from this point you get a 5% pay rise each year until you're 50, and then you keep working until you're 60. If you started on 18k, you would earn just over £2 million over your career. But if you started on 21k, you'd make 350k more over your life. Even though the difference may seem small now, it adds up to a huge amount over time. His son went back in there, he asked, and he got 21k. I cannot stress this enough, guys. Reinvesting in yourself and learning new skills is the most important factor in our careers. 50 years ago, you could pick a profession and stick with it for the rest of your life. But nowadays, if you're in your teens or 20s, the job that you'll be doing when you're 50 probably doesn't even exist yet. And the only way that you're going to be able to prepare yourself for that type of future is by learning how to learn and constantly reinvesting in yourself. I know that it's hard to see, but you are your most valuable asset, and you need to be investing yourself in exactly the same way you would any other investment. Think about it. If you bought a buy-to-let property, what would you do? Well, you'd probably give it a lick of paint. You'd redo the furnishings and do everything that you can to get the best possible yield for it. Well, the exact same thing goes for you. If you want to get the best possible yield for your time, you have to be investing in yourself in exactly the same way. But it's not just skills. You also need to be investing in your health, both physical and mental, because if you're not fit to work or you're dead, you're not going to earn anything. This is something that has really come home to me recently, because building a YouTube channel whilst also building a financial planning business is very demanding. And the biggest threat to my career is burnout. And I've realized that if I want to give myself the best chances of success and get to financial independence as quickly as I can, I need to invest in my physical and mental health. Gym memberships, therapy, and coaching are all investments that keep me sane and doing what I'm doing. Try it. Of the money that you save each month, set aside a fixed percentage that you have to reinvest in yourself. Perhaps have two buckets, one for education and one for health. You don't have to spend this money each month. You could let it build up for big purchases, but you are not allowed to spend it on anything else. This type of bucketing is the best way to allocate your capital more deliberately. If you're younger, allocate more to learning new skills. If you're older, allocate more to health. As you get older, keeping fit gets harder, but it's more important than ever, especially if you're feeling behind on saving for retirement. Because it doesn't matter if you have to carry on working until you're 65 if you're healthy when you get there. And you can have just as many healthy years in retirement as someone that retired 10 years earlier but had to sacrifice their health to do it. Investing in yourself takes up a huge amount of time and energy, but the potential returns are incredible, which is why it's so important that you put all of your other investments on autopilot. Stop spending time researching stocks and stressing about the market, and instead redirect that time and energy into increasing your own value. You have no control over what goes on in the stock market. You are entirely in control of increasing your own value. This is the kind of pep talk that I wish I had been given when I was 18 years old and then had recorded it and listened to it every single year after that. So if you can think of somebody else that you think needs to hear this, then please do share it with them, no matter how old they are. Now, if you've come away from this video thinking, I should be investing in my skills, my stock picking skills, well, then you need to watch this video here. This video has actually got the highest retention rate of any video that I have ever made, and it's pretty clear why. So give it a watch.